So how many hours were you performing a night? Like several hours, three,
Could
4
be
hours?
up to 5 hours.
It varied, but the first contract we did was the heaviest lifting we did, and that was like 5 p.m. to midnight with a few breaks in there. So it's a long heck of a lot of playing.
Yeah. That is a lot of playing. So why the name O&O? Am I right in thinking it's sort of the classic songwriter duo, sort of Simon and Garfunkel, Sonny and Cher, that sort of thing? Is that the right line?
Pretty much.
Yeah, definitely. It's got that kind of Lennon McCartney, Simon and Garfunkel,
Hall and
Oates sort of thing as a duo. But
also because both our names start with O, so we just thought because of that it's cool.
Right, that seemed like too big a coincidence not to make something of it.
Yeah.
So how did you end up in London?
That's a good question.
Good question. So we graduated in 2014 from LIPA. We did 2 years more or less on cruise ships, and then at the end of that, we kind of felt like that was enough of that, and we went to the U.S. We spent a month in New York City and a month in Nashville, trying to decide if either of those would be a good fit for us to live in. And we loved Nashville, didn't love New York as much. But in the end, London geographically was a bit more central between Israel and the US.
And I had been working towards getting an EU passport because my grandmother is from Romania. So that allowed me to come here and work as well, because before that I wasn't able to be here legally. And also I had worked one summer in London in uni, and I felt quite familiar with it, and we both felt really familiar with the UK, so it seemed like a good fit. And actually we're so lucky and happy that we ended up here.
Yeah, the miracle is that we didn't really know that there was such a good country scene here, and we just kind of stumbled into it and couldn't have been more lucky, because it's just an amazing scene and it's growing, so it just gets better every year.
I suppose you're lucky there's a really good Americana scene in London as well, isn't there? Like we've got the Americana Music Association, and it's really healthy.
We just played the Americana Fest this year in January. That happens in Hackney every year, and we've been to see it, watch it, and we love it, and we got to play it this year, so that was really cool.
There's literally a whole convention and weekend built around that as well, isn't there?
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your new single. It's called Leave It Till Tomorrow. So it came out, as we mentioned earlier, on the 24th of April, co-written by Laura Oakes, who is incredible.
Yes.
Her new song, she's got out, I've just got that on repeat. So I was thinking how I would describe your song earlier, because the production on it, I think for me, is the best of your work so far.
Thank you.
I came out with ethereal is the word I came out with, just because it sounds like your vocals sound quite ghostly at parts, but against the guitar, I just love it. Tell me about the new single.
Thank you.
What a great review. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, so I had that line, Leave It Till Tomorrow, in my head for a while, and I had been just kind of like singing that melody to myself in the shower every so often. Finally, I kind of recorded it on the phone until I just kind of solidified the melody in my head, and then I thought, okay, now it's time to show it to Obadiah, see what he thinks, and then we started writing it. It comes obviously from something that all couples, people in a relationship would know, the feeling of, having an argument and not wanting to go to bed angry at each other, and just wanting to leave it till the next day to deal with it. And once we started working on it, we felt like it was quite good. And we had this writing session scheduled with Laura, which we absolutely adore. So we were thinking, what are we going to bring to the session? And we just kind of had the sense that she would be a really good fit for the song. And if she would like it, maybe she could help us kind of polish it off and finish it and form it into a final song. And that's what happened. It was a very quick and easy writing session.
Yeah, it was the first writing session we'd had with Laura, but within an hour or two, we finished that off. And she was just really great at kind of the phrasing of the lines and
lyrics. We had some lyrics.
Yeah, well, definitely we finished the lyrics. That was the main thing.
Yeah.
but she's just such a natural, and it's almost kind of it's almost a problem to write with her because anything she sings sounds good. So you're like, oh yeah.
Why doesn't it sound like that when I sing it? But I think she's also a great songwriter because she really serves the song. Because sometimes when you're in a writing session, you feel that, maybe the other person has a bit of an ego and they just kind of want to prove that they can, or, they want to contribute something, whether it suits the song or not. But she's really like very sensitive and serving the song. And she doesn't just like shout out ideas just for the sake of it. She really takes her time to think about it and bring something really good.
Perfect. In terms of the production, when you went to record it, did you have the sound that you came out with in mind, or is that something that developed?
The arrangement was
So the way that we work is we make a demo, and then we kind of work from that when we go to record. But every time that we go to record, it always kind of develops, and it never really sounds period. It never sounds like it does when we bring it in. It always, and that's part of just having a really good team when we're in the studio.
We have to give a shout out because it's an incredible team at the Cabin in Liverpool. The producer is Alec Britz, who's also an incredible drummer. And there's a lovely engineer called Amelia working there as well. And they're just both great. Like Alec has a great musicality. He's a drummer and a songwriter and a singer. So he's just really well-rounded, and he always knows what's gonna sound good. And it's just such an amazing experience working with them.
So you've got that trust now where you can just go up to them and they understand you, you understand them, and you just...
Yeah, it's really about trust, like you say, because when the first song that we did with them, we didn't have that trust yet, and we were so protective of our demo, and we're like, it has to sound exactly like the demo, but obviously that's the wrong way to work. So you have to develop that trust and just be like, do whatever, I trust you. Play whatever feels right.
And I think also that we're improving together, because we've been working with them since Some Days, which was the first one that we did with them. So pretty much everything that we released, apart from our very first single, Traveling, was done with them. And actually, they mixed that. So basically everything. So every time, we're hopefully getting a little bit better at songwriting and the arrangements and things like that. And then they're getting a little bit better at the sounds and the mixing.
They're getting new gear all the time.
New gear all the time and upgrading and improving. So it's it's really fun and such a treat to get to do that together.
Perfect. Do you have a general songwriting process that you work to, or do you write together, or what's the process there? Because obviously you sit and pen your lyrics, so they're quite specific. It's obvious that you put a lot of art into them. Talk to me a bit about that.
Thank you. Well, like Orion was saying, for Leave It Till Tomorrow, it's pretty common that one of us will have some sort of seed of an idea that we then develop together, or more than that.
Yeah. Sometimes, what we've done with this last project is basically we booked the studio time before we had the songs written. So that way we had this very clear deadline. So it's like, okay, gotta write a song. Okay, what are we writing about? And then we do kind of come up with something out of nowhere. It doesn't always have to be, a seed is not necessarily even a lyric or a melody. It's sometimes just, hey, I want to write a song about this topic,
Right.
And then we try to work it out from there.
And sometimes we'll actually sit down, neither of us will have any idea, and then we just
jam.
We bash something out. Just kind of come up with something. Very rarely does nothing happen,
Even if you write a bad song, I still wrote a song, so that's good.
Still getting the juices flowing.
Yeah.
Still productive. Do you have a favourite song of yours, or perhaps one you find most poignant, or does it change all the time?
That's a good...
They say about songwriters that they always like the last thing that they write.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, they also say it's kind of like your babies, so you can't really pick a favorite. But
I think one of my favorite songs that we've written is still yet to be released. So
there you go.
Cliffhanger. So I want to talk a bit about how people consume music, because I am, and I'm sure you're the same. If you've got an artist you like, you become really impatient now. Like, they've released a song, it's been a month. Why have they not released another one? Everyone's guilty of it. but the sort of the body of work you released so far, and having watched you guys live stream and how you promote yourselves, am I right in thinking that your bigger focus is on an album? Because you strike me as a couple that would put, really value an album. You've mentioned Fleetwood Mac, Carole King and stuff like Tapestry, and that's a whole body of work. Is that the route you see yourselves going?
Also,
dream?
Ultimately, yes, definitely. I went through a phase in high school where I would only listen to albums, start to finish, on vinyl.
You were that guy.
I was that guy. So, of course, we would love to do an album at some point. The challenge with doing an album as independent artists is obviously the financing it and doing it properly. I always feel like you have one chance to have a debut album, so no pressure.
And would you go down the route of making sure the artwork was perfect, getting a physical release, making sure you had all the liner notes perfect, all that kind of thing?
Oh yeah, the lyrics printed out, everything.
Anyone wants to listen and wants to fund your album, let's get it done.
There you go.
So, all being well, you've got a full band headline show confirmed for September at the Spice of Life, which is a great venue in Soho. It's so cool. Fingers crossed that can still happen. Do you miss performing live?
Very much, yeah. Because we do that as our night job is what I like to call it, because we don't have a day job. We perform at hotels in London, like the Savoy and the Rosewood, and really cool like bars and pubs and things like that. Pretty much out 4 to 5 times a week performing.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so we do miss it a lot. Even though when you have a lot of gigs, they're kind of like, oh, give me a break. But you quickly miss it, yeah.
Yeah, it's very strange to only be performing once every 2 weeks now on a live stream, or maybe a little bit.
Yeah, but I do enjoy the live streams, I have to say. It's a very different experience to performing live, but there's some really nice things about being in the comfort of your own home. Sometimes, obviously, when you're performing to a live audience right there in front of you, you feel their energy, and you get a bit more nervous too. So something about the live streams has been very like soothing, because there's a safe distance between you and the audience. You can't see if they're like snoring or like watch, like when's this going to be over.
But of course, the other side of that is that you don't get the energy from the audience.
Right.
You don't get the feedback and everything.
You don't get the applause at the end of a song,
which is what it's partly all about.
Yeah, it's that conversation between the performer and the audience.
That's interesting you say that, because I think when people I spoke to, it's kind of 50-50 on if people enjoy the live streams. I feel like some people are adamantly against it and they'll do it, but they just get nothing out of it. So it's interesting that you do enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are lucky with your sound that you can, because you kind of cross like a country Americana folky sort of boundary. I mean, you've played slots at C2C, Cambridge Folk Festival, and Black Deer, which is, that's quite a breadth of festival. Do you have a standout show you've ever performed? Is there one where you think, wow?
Actually, you mentioned Black Deer, and that was a really fun one for us. We don't get to perform with a full band very often, just logistically, and that was one where we got to play with our drummer and bass player.
On a massive stage, too, because somehow at the last minute we were bumped to the second largest stage of the festival.
Oh, nice.
And it was amazing because, like, it's the kind of level of sound engineering as well that we don't usually experience with, like, a dedicated monitor engineer, and a front of house separate. And it was, like, incredible. So much fun.
I heard that was brilliant. I didn't get to that one, but I heard it was a really good vibe across the festival as well.
It was very cool.
We played the very first year of the festival, and they had last year, obviously, and then...
Not this year.
Not this year.
But next year, it's fine. Everything's going to happen next year.
Next year's going to be crazy.
Do you have one song throughout the history of music that you wish you'd written? You could answer together or individually?
So many.
Yeah, there are many, but we'll just say like one, I suppose.
What comes to mind?
Well, I think there's so many songs that you listen and you think, oh my God, this is great.